My 8-year-old daughter was left in foster care by my parents while they flew to Hawaii with my sister's kids. The note said, "Sorry, sweetie, we just couldn't take care of her." I didn't shout. I just filed a quiet report. Next morning, there was a violent knock on their hotel door. My name is Hannah. I'm 28, pregnant with my second child, and until last month, I thought I came from a normal family. Not picture perfect, not Hallmark, but normal enough. Close enough that we did holidays together, took each other to the airport, texted each other dumb memes about caffeine and adulting. My sister and I weren't best friends, but we traded birthday gifts and family gossip. My parents were grandparents. They loved their grandkids, my sister's 3 especially. But still, they were always around, always showing up. I never thought I had to worry about them not being safe, until the day I needed them to be. It started with a doctor's appointment I almost rescheduled. I was in my 3rd trimester and feeling off, tightness, dizzy spells, just tired all the time. My OB looked at me, then looked at the monitor, then said, "I don't like this. I want you at the hospital now." I remember laughing. Not because it was funny, because I was scared, because I had work emails to send, because I had groceries in the car, because my husband was deployed overseas and I didn't have time for a crisis. She didn't laugh. "If we don't keep you monitored, you could go into labor early." So they wheeled me into a room and told me not to move, not to stress, not to think about anything except keeping my baby boy safe. Right. Sure. No stress, except for the part where I suddenly needed emergency care for my 8-year-old daughter. Her name is Ellie. She's the kind of kid who cries when books end, who organizes her pencils by color and whispers sorry to bugs she accidentally steps on. She's brave in quiet ways, sensitive in every way, and absolutely not someone I was okay leaving with just anyone. But I didn't have just anyone. I had my parents. They lived 10 minutes away. They were already watching my sister's 3 kids that week. Ellie adored her cousins. She packed her little overnight bag herself, tucked her favorite stuffed cat inside, and made me a get-well-soon card with a sparkly Band-Aid drawn on the front. I called my mom from the hospital bed. She didn't hesitate. "Of course we'll take her, honey. You just focus on staying healthy." I cried after I hung up. Relief mostly. Gratitude. I trusted them. Before I was admitted, I swung by their house to drop Ellie off. I handed my mom my credit card. "Use this if she needs anything, groceries, takeout, whatever." She waved it off. "Don't be silly. She'll be fine." For the first 2 days, I believed her. Ellie called each night, told me about their pancake breakfast and how Grandpa let them watch a movie before bed. She said she missed me, that she gave my card to the baby so he'd feel better too. I promised I'd be home soon. She believed me. Then came day 3. No call, just a text from my mom. "Busy day, she's resting." Day 4, nothing. Day 5, all good, no news. Rest up. No Ellie. I asked to talk to her. No answer. I sent messages. No reply. By day 6, I'd called every number in that house. My mom, my dad, my sister. Left voicemails. Nothing. I told myself they were just busy, that 4 kids were a lot, that she was tired, that I was overreacting. But I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, wondering if my daughter was asleep, if she was scared, if she was wondering why I hadn't called. Then, on day 7, the doctor smiled and said the words I'd been waiting for. "You're stable. You can go home." I didn't go home. I drove straight to my parents' house. The driveway was empty. No minivan. No bikes on the lawn. The porch light was off. The windows dark. I knocked. Waited. Knocked again. Nothing. That's when I saw it. A piece of paper taped to the front door. slightly crumpled, slanted. Ink faded at the edges like it had been there a while. It said, "Sorry, sweetie, things got too hectic. We made other arrangements. She's fine." No signature, no phone number, no explanation. I stood there, reading that line over and over like it might eventually turn into English. Other arrangements? I called my mom, straight to voicemail. Dad. Voicemail. My sister. Nothing. I called again, and again, and again. Nothing. I don't remember getting back in the car, just the sound of my heart in my ears and the word arrangements bouncing around my skull like a pinball. I drove to the nearest CPS office and walked in still wearing hospital socks. I gave them my daughter's name. My name. The woman behind the desk asked me to wait. Then she came back and asked me to come with her. That's when I knew. Ellie had been dropped off 4 days earlier. No emergency contact. No signed form. No explanation. Just left. She was with a foster family now. They said she was safe, that she'd been quiet, polite, a little withdrawn. I nodded like that was supposed to make me feel better. I think I said thank you. When I finally saw her, she ran to me. Her face crumpled. She didn't ask where I'd been. She just kept saying, "I'm sorry. I was good. I tried to be good." That night, she wouldn't let go of my hand. Not when we got in the car. Not when we got home. Not even when she fell asleep curled beside me under the blanket her dad gave her last Christmas. I sat there listening to her breathing, one hand on my belly, one on her back. And I kept thinking, I thought we were a normal family. I thought they loved her. Ellie stayed close those first few days. Too close. She wouldn't let go of me. Not for a second. She followed me to the bathroom, the laundry room, the front porch. She even stood outside the shower, asking every minute, "Are you almost done?" She didn't talk much, just curled up beside me on the couch, clutching her stuffed cat like a shield. I let her. I didn't ask questions she wasn't ready to answer. At night, she woke up crying. Not loud sobs, the quiet kind, the kind that soaks into a pillow. One night I whispered, "What are you thinking about?" She said, "They said I was too much." I said, "Who did?" She didn't answer. I made us pancakes the next morning. She stared at them, then whispered, "Grandma told me not to be fussy." My hands started shaking. I was trying so hard to stay calm, to keep everything gentle and steady, but I was unraveling. Slowly, quietly. I still hadn't heard a word from my parents, or my sister. No check-in, no explanation, no apology. Just that note on the door and a silent phone. On the 3rd day after I brought Ellie home, I cracked. I went digging. It started with my bank app. I hadn't checked it since the hospital. I opened it expecting maybe a grocery charge. Some gas. A Target run. What I saw instead were back-to-back charges from a resort. Airfare, rental car, 4-night stay, spa service, multiple room service bills, a boat tour, all from Hawaii. I just stared at the screen, scrolling, my thumb frozen. They used my credit card. The one I gave them for Ellie. The one I handed them like an idiot, thinking they'd spend it on juice boxes and peanut butter. I told myself there had to be a mistake. Maybe someone stole it. Maybe it got hacked. Maybe... And that's when I opened Instagram. I don't even know what I was searching for. I clicked on my sister's profile. There it was. A story highlight titled, "Aloha! Palm trees, cocktails." A group shot. My parents, my sister, her husband, all 3 of her kids, smiling in lays with the ocean behind them. Caption, "Family vacation before school starts." Family. Not one word about Ellie. Not one clue she ever existed. They left my daughter in foster care and flew across the ocean with my sister's kids, and then had the audacity to call it a family trip. I felt something snap. Cold. Clean. Like a rope breaking. I called my mom first. No answer. Then my dad. Then my sister. I tried again. And again. Finally, my sister picked up. I didn't even wait for hello. "Where is Mom?" "Oh, she's out by the pool." "Why?" "You left Ellie in foster care and went to Hawaii." Long pause. Then, "We didn't leave her in foster care. We just couldn't take care of her, okay? You were in the hospital. We had this trip planned. It wasn't ideal." I couldn't breathe. "You abandoned her." "She's fine," she snapped. "You're blowing this out of proportion." "Where is my daughter in your photos?" "What?" "In your family vacation post. Where's Ellie?" "She's not my kid, Hannah." I went silent. That hurt more than I expected. She kept going. "You're being dramatic. Mom was overwhelmed. The kids were already packed. What were we supposed to do, cancel the whole thing?" "Yes," I said. "Yes, that's exactly what you were supposed to do." "She's not a baby. She's 8. I hung up. My phone rang less than a minute later. My mom. I picked up. Her voice was chipper. "Honey, I was going to call you." "When?" "What? When exactly were you planning to tell me that you left my child in the care of strangers and flew to a luxury resort using my money?" She went quiet. Then, "We didn't know what else to do. We were overwhelmed. Ellie is not easy." "Not easy." My voice cracked. "She made you cards. She packed her own bag. She did everything right. She cried. All the time. She didn't want to eat. She asked for you nonstop. I couldn't handle it. She's a child. And I was in the hospital." My mom's voice turned cold. "Well, maybe don't get pregnant again if you can't handle it." I laughed. I actually laughed. That bitter, breathless kind that comes out when nothing else will. "I'm done," I said. "Don't be dramatic. Save it. You already made your choice." "Hannah." I hung up. Ellie was on the stairs. I hadn't realized she was listening. She looked at me and said, "Grandma's mad?" I walked to her and knelt down. "No, Grandma's not mad. But I am. And that's okay." She looked at me for a long time. Then she asked, "Are we going to Hawaii too?" I felt my throat tighten. "No," I said. "We're doing something better." The night I filed the police report, I didn't tell anyone. Not even my husband. It wasn't revenge. It was reflex. They used my credit card to fly to Hawaii while my daughter was in foster care. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten. I just opened my laptop and wrote everything down. Dates, screenshots, charges, the note on my door. I submitted it online and went to bed with my daughter's hand curled around mine. On the next day, things exploded. It started with a voicemail from my sister. No greeting, just, "Are you out of your mind? You called the cops on Mom and Dad while they were on vacation? What the hell is wrong with you? Do you have any idea what you've done? They're humiliated." Then came the text from my mom. "The police came to our hotel room. Our room, Hannah. We had to explain ourselves like criminals. I hope you're satisfied." I stared at the screen. I imagined the knock on the door, the surprise, the panic, the way they probably looked at each other, still wearing lees, holding cocktails, pretending nothing was wrong. And for once, I didn't feel guilty. Not even a little. That night, I opened Instagram and checked my sister's profile. She had deleted the Hawaii highlights, but in their place, she posted a long, blurry paragraph over a black background. Sometimes people will ruin your peace just to punish you for telling them no, Sometimes they'll call the police and weaponize your pain, but the truth always comes out. 38 likes, 2 comments. I took a screenshot and filed it in the folder I was quietly building. They came to my door the next morning. I saw them through the window. My mom, my dad, and my sister, all standing on the porch like some warped family portrait. My mom held a reusable grocery bag. My sister was already fuming. I didn't invite them in. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. "Hannah," my mom said, "we need to talk. You had your chance. You humiliated us." I folded my arms. "You left Ellie." My sister cut in. "We didn't abandon her. We made a decision. It wasn't easy." "You went to a beachfront resort," I said flatly. "On my dime. You handed my daughter to strangers and then ordered room service." Dad's voice was tight. "We thought she'd be fine." She wasn't. She thought she did something wrong. She cried every night, and none of you cared. My mom stepped forward. "We care. Of course we care. We just... She's not easy, Hannah. You know that." I froze. "What did you say?" "She's difficult. She gets overwhelmed. She cries over everything. She wasn't adjusting. We thought it would be better for everyone." I laughed. "You thought foster care was better. She needed structure," my mom snapped. I took a step closer. "She needed love, not a punishment." The door behind me opened. Ellie stood there, hugging her stuffed cat, looking straight at them. My sister smiled like she was on a stage. "Hey, sweetheart." Ellie didn't move, didn't speak. My mom softened her voice. "We brought your things, your book, your brush." Ellie said, "Why didn't you come back?" The silence that followed felt like gravity. My mom blinked. "We thought it was best." Ellie looked at me. "Can they go?" I turned to them. "You heard her." "You're seriously doing this?" my sister said. "You're cutting off your entire family?" "I'm protecting my daughter." "From what, love?" she snapped. "From people who've always been there?" I stared at her. "You weren't there." I opened the door and stepped back inside. Then I shut it. That afternoon, they went nuclear. A check for $1,000 showed up in my mailbox. No note, just the check. Memo line. "For Ellie, with love." I wrote void across the front and taped it to the trash can lid. My mom texted me, "Pregnancy hormones make people irrational. You need to calm down." I blocked her. That night, while Ellie was asleep, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I picked up. "Miss Porter, this is Natalie with Child Protective Services. We received an anonymous report expressing concern about your home environment." My stomach dropped. "They claim you've been emotionally unstable, isolating your daughter, and retaliating against family. They described you as vindictive and erratic." Of course they did. I stayed calm, answered her questions, offered references, medical documents, even Ellie's school counselor's contact. I told the truth. Every word. She said, "Thank you. I'll follow up soon." I sat in silence for a long time after that. Then I opened the folder again. It was getting thicker. More screenshots. More notes. More proof. They thought I would break. But they forgot. This time, I wasn't alone. The next night, I was cleaning up dinner when I heard the front door open. Ellie ran to the hallway. I followed, tired, expecting a draft or the delivery guy. Instead, I saw my husband. He was home. He dropped his duffel bag and caught Ellie as she jumped into his arms. Her whole body relaxed for the first time in weeks. Mine did too. He looked at me and said, "I'm not going back. We'll figure something out." And just like that, I knew. The 3 of us were going to be okay. But the people outside our door, they had no idea what was coming. For a few days, it was quiet. After the CPS visit, the angry voicemails, and the social media meltdowns, my parents went dark. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. I started to think maybe they were finally done, but manipulators don't disappear. They wait. They regroup. And then they come back with a smile. It started with an envelope in the mail. No return address, just my name in my mother's handwriting. Inside was a card. Let's talk. Don't let this tear our family apart. There was a photo tucked in too. Ellie, maybe 4 years old, sitting on my dad's shoulders. I'd taken that picture. It was one of her favorite days, before she knew what betrayal looked like. I threw the card away, kept the photo. Not for them, for her. That night, my sister texted me, "You've made your point. Now undo it. They're breaking." I didn't answer. The next day, my parents sent a flower arrangement to Ellie's school, pink roses, with a note, "From Grandma and Grandpa. We love you and we're sorry." Her teacher called me, concerned. "Should I send them back?" "No," I said. "Just throw them out." That night, Ellie asked me, "Did Grandma bring me those?" I nodded. She said, "Do I have to say thank you?" "No, baby," I said. "Not this time." Then came the neighbors. Mrs. Kaplan from across the street stopped me while I was loading groceries. She gave me a tight smile and said, "You know, sometimes it's good to forgive." I blinked at her. "Excuse me?" "Your mother came by. She said you were going through something, that you might not be thinking clearly." I laughed. I couldn't help it. "Did she mention the part where she left my daughter in foster care?" Mrs. Kaplan's smile faltered. "Well, no, but she said it wasn't as bad as it sounds." Of course she did. After that, the messages got more frantic. "You're ruining this family. Ellie needs her grandparents. Think about how this will affect her long term. We've supported you your whole life. You always overreact." Then came the classic, "You'll understand when you're older." I am older. I'm older now than I ever wanted to be. Then my mom showed up at my work. I saw her through the window of the main office, standing there with a container of banana bread like this was some kind of reunion episode. I didn't go out. I asked the receptionist to tell her I was unavailable. That was it. But that night, Ellie came home with a note in her backpack. No name, no handwriting I recognized. Just a sticky note tucked between her notebooks. "Don't blame your mom. She doesn't mean to keep us away." Ellie handed it to me with wide eyes. "Is this from Grandma?" I didn't lie. "Probably." She didn't say anything after that, just quietly went to her room and shut the door. I sat at the kitchen table for 20 minutes before my hands stopped shaking. Then I changed every pickup password at her school and called the principal. He didn't even hesitate. "We'll update her file. No contact. Not even a wave." The next morning, I woke up to find sugar poured all over my front porch. Not a little. A mountain. There were ants crawling up the steps, swarming the doormat. Taped to the door was a ripped page from one of Ellie's old drawings. Just one word scribbled across it in thick red marker. "Liar." I didn't report it. I just cleaned it up and kept the page. My husband sat me down that night. He'd been quiet for days, letting me take the lead, letting me decide how far to push. But now he looked at me and said, "We need to end this. All the way." I nodded. The next day, we made a plan. We found a new place. Small town, fresh start. We didn't tell anyone where we were going. We packed in silence while Ellie played in the living room, humming to herself. The only thing I left behind was a small white envelope taped to the front door. Inside, a copy of the note they left when they abandoned her. I wrote 3 words underneath it. Now, you understand. We left at sunrise. Ellie fell asleep in the back seat, her cat in her arms, the picture from the fridge tucked into her backpack. I didn't cry. I didn't look back. Not once. But before we crossed the county line, I pulled over at a gas station, opened my phone, and logged into the police department's online reporting system. I uploaded the note they left, the screenshots, the bank records. I didn't add commentary, just facts. When I hit submit, I felt my hands stop shaking, for the first time in weeks. Fast forward 10 months. They were charged, child endangerment and fraud. No jail time, but fines, a record, and a court order. No contact with Ellie. Ever. We moved. Quiet town. Small house. Lemon tree in the yard. The baby came early. Healthy, loud, perfect. Ellie calls him Captain Yawn. She reads to him every night. My husband works from home now. He makes breakfast, sings lullabies, leaves love notes in my coffee mug. She's okay now. Really okay. Last week, she taped a drawing to the fridge. The 4 of us, standing under a big yellow sun. She titled it, Our Real Family. And sometimes, when she thinks we're not listening, she looks at her little brother and whispers, You're safe now. That's all I need. Do you think I did the right thing? Or did I go too far? Let me know in the comments, and hit subscribe for more stories. At the cousin's birthday party, my sister gave out gift bags for everyone who mattered. My daughters had a sticky note that said, Try harder next year. We didn't make a scene. We just left. The next morning, my sister opened her front door and screamed so loud the neighbor called the police. I wish I could say I was shocked. I wish I could say that when I saw what they gave my daughter, my blood ran cold or that time slowed down, or whatever it is people say in those dramatic movie moments. But the truth? It felt like something I'd been waiting for. Not in a hopeful way, in a dread-heavy, of course it's coming kind of way. The party was held at my sister's house, which is basically a Pinterest board come to life. Giant balloon arches in perfectly coordinated colors. A dessert table that looked like it had its own PR manager. Matching t-shirts for the birthday twins that said Born to Shine. Kids running around with hand-stitched party bags clutched like treasure. My daughter clutched mine. She's 7. She wore the sparkly hairband she picked out herself that morning. The one she said made her feel like a galaxy. She was nervous before we arrived. She always is with big crowds. But she practiced saying happy birthday in the car twice. She even made 2 little cards herself, one for each cousin, drew little stars on them, signed them with love. I was proud of her just for showing up. My husband and I stayed near the food table, exchanging polite small talk with people we barely knew. I tried to ignore how my sister barely acknowledged us, how my mom gave me that brittle smile that said, "Don't start anything." How my father nodded once and went back to carving ham like it required surgical focus. Then they handed out the gift bags. Each one had the child's name in glitter letters, stuffed animals, bubble wands, personalized water bottles, a tiny keychain with the first initial. One by one, the kids beamed and tore through them like it was Christmas morning. Then they handed one to my daughter. A plain white paper bag, no glitter, no name, just a single sticky note slapped crooked across the front. In my sister's handwriting, "Try harder next year." My daughter blinked at it like maybe she was reading it wrong, like maybe there was something inside that would explain the joke. She reached in. A broken crayon, a used eraser, a wrapped peppermint that looked like it had been rattling around in someone's purse. That was it. I saw her throat tighten. She glanced at me. I felt her small fingers inch toward mine, like she was bracing for something, like maybe she thought she had done something wrong. And then came the laughter from the adults. My sister laughed first. That high, sharp laugh she does when she wants everyone to know she's in charge of the joke. "She's been acting up lately," she said, waving it off like it was cute, interrupting, talking back, crying over tiny things. "This is just a little wake-up call." My mother chuckled. "Honestly, it's good for her. You coddle her too much." Even my dad grunted some half laugh like it was all just awkward but harmless. The other kids laughed too. They didn't know why. Kids never really do, but they followed the lead. My daughter smiled, that tight, trembling smile that kids do when they're trying not to cry. My husband looked at me, not with shock, with something quieter, steadier. He crouched beside her, took the bag gently from her hands, and said, "You don't need this. Let's go get some real cake." We stood up. I didn't say a word. Neither did he. We took her hands and walked out of that house like we were walking out of a burning building. No one tried to stop us. No one called after us. Not even my sister. At home, my daughter sat on the couch and stared at the glitter stars on her birthday cards like they might rearrange themselves into a reason. She asked, "Was it because I didn't say thank you fast enough?" I said, "No, sweetheart. It was because some people forget how to be kind." She nodded, pressed the cards to her chest like they might guard her heart. She fell asleep on the couch, curled up under the soft throw blanket her dad gave her last Christmas. The one that says, "You are safe. You are strong. You are loved." I sat in the kitchen while my husband made tea. Neither of us said much. We didn't have to. This wasn't new, just final. After a while, he said, "I paused the payments. The rent, the grocery card, the electric fund, all of it." I nodded. I opened the drawer where we kept the important stuff, pulled out the folder I'd been adding to quietly over the years. Text messages, photos, a printout of the email where my sister asked if I could take care of her kids for a much-needed solo reset trip. The Venmo receipts, the one where I covered our parents' property tax, and they said, "We'll pay you back after the cruise." The folder was thick. I added one last thing, the sticky note. "Try harder next year." I slipped it into a clear sleeve, right on top. My husband watched me, didn't say a word, but when I looked at him, he nodded. Not like someone giving permission, like someone saying, "Finally, tomorrow morning, I drop something off." Quietly, no message, no confrontation, just truth. They wanted to teach my daughter a lesson. Fine. They were about to learn one too. It didn't start with my daughter. That's the part that really hurts. It should never have reached her. She should have been safe, protected, loved by her entire family, not just the one she was born into. But it did start long before her. It started with me. Growing up in my house meant learning how to perform, how to twist yourself into whatever version of a child got the least amount of criticism that day. It meant reading the room before you even learned to read a book. It meant silence was safer than honesty, and pretending to be happy was easier than explaining why you weren't. Emma was always the favorite. That was never said out loud, not directly, but it didn't have to be. It was in the tone of voice my parents used when they spoke to her, in the way they lit up at her stories, even when they were dull, in the way my accomplishments were acknowledged with a distracted, "That's good," while Emma's most minor wins were met with celebration, cake, and 50 family group texts. I remember once in 3rd grade, I came home clutching a certificate for perfect attendance. I had fought through colds and stomach aches just to earn that paper. I handed it to my mother with pride, and she barely glanced at it before saying, "Emma got Student of the Month." You know that's a much bigger deal. When I brought home a B+ in math, a subject I had struggled with for months, my dad said your sister never brought home less than an A. When I got the lead in the school play, they didn't come. Emma had a volleyball game, a practice game, not even a tournament, but it was important to her. So they said they'd try to make the next one. They never did. Birthdays were the worst. My parties were always joint celebrations with Emma, even though our birthdays were nearly 2 months apart. My name was an afterthought on the cake. One year, they gave us one present to share. It was a pair of rollerblades Emma's size. I was always too much or not enough. Too quiet, too dramatic, too shy, too opinionated. I cried too easily. I asked too many questions, talked back. I sulked. I didn't smile enough. I didn't smile the right way. There were no bruises, no yelling, just a constant low hum of not measuring up and then being told I was sensitive for noticing. When I was 15, I came home crying after a teacher accused me of cheating on a test. I hadn't. I was devastated. My mom's response was, "Well, you do keep to yourself a lot. Maybe you look suspicious. Next time, try to smile more and act normal." At 17, I finally got the courage to tell my parents I thought I might be depressed. My mom rolled her eyes and said, "That's the new trend, isn't it? Everyone thinks they're depressed. You're bored. Find a hobby." Emma told me I was being dramatic, then borrowed my phone charger and never gave it back. By the time I left for college, I was numb. I didn't expect them to come to move-in day, and they didn't disappoint. They mailed me a card a week late with $25 and a sticky note that said, "Don't blow it." I didn't blow it. I got through school, found therapy, learned how to name things. Emotional neglect, scapegoating, passive-aggressive control. I learned how to unlearn it. When I met my husband, I was still afraid of being too much. I apologized for crying during a movie. He just handed me a tissue and said, "That part hit hard, huh?" Like it was the most normal thing in the world. He was the first person who ever asked what I wanted for my birthday and actually got it right. Not because he guessed, but because he listened. When I told him about my family, I downplayed it, made it sound quirky. He didn't push. But the first time he met them, he squeezed my hand under the table. After dinner, he said, "You weren't exaggerating." I let them back in when we had our daughter. I wanted her to have a big family, cousins, holidays, grandparents who doted on her. I wanted her to have what I didn't. It started slowly, my sister commenting on my daughter's clothes. "She dresses a little offbeat, doesn't she?" My mom insisting that my daughter should hug everyone even when she didn't want to. "Don't be rude, sweetie. Give Uncle Bill a proper hug." My dad making jokes about her being soft when she cried at loud noises. "Better toughen up if she wants to make it in this family." I tried to explain. I told them she had sensory processing challenges, that she needed support, not shame, that she was doing her best. They rolled their eyes. "You're overreacting. She's fine." Emma called me a snowplow parent, said I was raising a future doormat. And when I set boundaries, I became the problem, the difficult one, the dramatic one. Every time I stood up for my daughter, it was met with the same tactics they used on me. Minimization, mockery, cold silence. Sometimes they even pitied me, which was worse. "She just wants to feel important," my mother whispered once to Emma, not realizing I was within earshot. Let her have this. Like advocating for my child was a phase tantrum. And I let it go. I let it go more times than I can count because I kept hoping it would get better, that they would come around, that maybe this time they would see her, really see her. But they didn't. They saw themselves, their need to feel superior, their desire to maintain the hierarchy that kept them comfortable. My daughter was just the next in line for the same treatment they gave me. Only now, I knew what it was, and now I had a choice. I could keep giving them chances, keep letting them break her bit by bit the way they broke me, or I could stop the cycle. I chose her. I chose me. And tomorrow they'll understand what that means. We didn't sleep much that night. My daughter eventually drifted off, her fingers still curled around the birthday card she'd made for her cousins. I stayed up on the couch, watching the cursor blink on my screen like it was daring me to finish what I'd started. At 4:07 a.m., I emailed the landlord, the one who manages the duplex my sister lives in. I explained that I would no longer be paying the monthly supplement we'd agreed to. That arrangement was unofficial, but the landlord knew my name, knew the rent always came from our account. He replied within 20 minutes. Understood. I'll notify her of the updated balance today. At 4:49 a.m., my husband drafted the letter to the loan company about the car. It was our name on the documents, our credit on the line, our money that made the down payment. Emma had defaulted twice before we stepped in. This time, we didn't step in. We stepped out. At 6:02 a.m., we printed everything: texts, emails, screenshots of group messages where my daughter was called difficult, where Emma wrote, "She's going to be just like her mom, oversensitive and exhausting." There was even a voice memo, a clip from Christmas 2 years ago when my mother, not realizing my husband was recording a family moment for posterity, leaned into Emma and said, "Don't bother getting her anything nice. She never appreciates it anyway." They were talking about me. By 7 a.m., it was all in the folder, labeled, annotated, bound with a crimson ribbon I found in the junk drawer, a ribbon from one of Emma's kids' birthdays. I didn't plan that part. It just felt right. At 7:30, we drove to my sister's house. No words, just the envelope. My husband placed it gently on the doormat. We rang the bell and left. We were halfway down the street when we heard it. The scream. Unrestrained. A sound that ripped out of her like it had been living in her throat for years. I didn't turn around. My husband gripped the steering wheel tighter, and for a moment he smiled. Later, I found out the neighbor came outside in his robe, assuming someone had been hurt. He called the police when he saw Emma on the front lawn, red-faced and frantic, clutching the folder like it was radioactive. When the officers arrived, she tried to tell them it was harassment, that her crazy sister was trying to destroy her life. They flipped through the folder. Then they calmly told her it was a civil matter. Nothing illegal, nothing worth escalating. This is the truth. By noon, my phone had exploded. 38 messages from my sister. The first few were all caps rants. "What the hell is wrong with you? You think this is funny?" Then came the guilt. "We are family. You can't do this to us." Then the begging. "Please, you can't just stop paying like this because of a joke." Then the threats. "If you don't take this back, you'll regret it." My mother called 4 times, left a voicemail on the third. "You've taken this too far. This family has always had problems, but you just lit a match. What do you want from us?" She sounded more angry than sorry. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent the digital version of the folder to our extended relatives, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, not with commentary, just a simple subject line. "In case you ever wondered why we stopped showing up." By the end of the day, I had 20 replies. Half of them were some version of, "I had no idea." One cousin sent a single line, "Good for you." The real fallout started 2 weeks later. The landlord followed through. Emma had 30 days to pay the full amount or face eviction. The loan company flagged the car. Her late payments triggered a review and she received a warning. My husband smiled when he saw the notification. My parents called my husband. Not me. My husband. "She won't listen to us," my mom said, "but maybe she'll listen to you. Tell her we're sorry. Tell her she doesn't have to do this." He told her the truth. "She's not doing this to you. You did it to yourselves." They showed up at our house the next morning. My daughter saw them through the window. Her face went pale. I met them at the door, didn't let them in. "We just want to talk," my dad said. "This is getting out of hand." "No," I said. "This is called consequences." My mom tried to cry. There were no tears. I didn't budge. They left a card in the mailbox, one of those generic sympathy ones. Inside it said, We miss our family. I sent it back with a sticky note. So did I. And then I went back inside where my daughter was reading on the couch, her legs tucked under a blanket, her face peaceful. She looked up and asked, "Were they mad?" I shook my head. "They were loud." "That's not the same." She nodded. That night, my husband took us out for ice cream. We didn't celebrate. We just breathed. But in that quiet breathing, there was something new. Peace. And it was loud as hell. For about a week, there was silence, or rather quiet rage humming just beneath the surface. My sister had gone nuclear. Sure, but after the initial scream, the flurry of texts, and the failed attempts at guilt, things went dark. For a moment, I thought maybe that was it. Maybe finally, they had gotten the message. They hadn't. 10 days after the front door folder drop, my daughter came home from school with a note in her backpack from Emma. It was on pastel stationery with little hearts on the edges like it was meant for a child. Inside the message was short. "If you ever feel sad or confused, remember Auntie Emma loves you. You can call me anytime, even if your mom says no." My daughter looked up at me confused. Did I do something wrong? I felt the fury rise in my throat before I could stop it. This wasn't just about boundaries anymore. This was manipulation. Targeted, deliberate, and low. I called the school immediately. Turns out my sister had used one of her friend's names to get access to drop something off for a niece. No ID check, no oversight, just a sticky smile and a name. That afternoon, I filed a formal no-contact order with the school, with the district, and with the police. I sent a cease and desist to both my sister and my parents. My lawyer sent a follow-up. 2 days later, a fake account started tagging me on social media, calling me ungrateful, posting blurry childhood photos with captions like, "Some people forget who raised them." Another anonymous message read, "Just remember, kids grow up. One day she'll know what you did." That was the final crack. I sent everything to my lawyer, who forwarded it to law enforcement. My sister posted a crying selfie captioned, "When your family turns on you." Cue the sympathy parade until the truth started leaking. Quietly, one aunt, then a cousin, then another cousin. Screenshots circulated. Voicemails were replayed. People saw the receipts the same way I had. My parents didn't take it well. They tried to rally the extended family with an emergency Zoom call. I didn't attend, but apparently when someone asked why I hadn't been invited to Grandpa's birthday last year, my mother froze. Someone else asked why Emma had been dipping into the family emergency fund when she's the only one with a stable salary. Another asked about the birthday party, if the story going around was really true. It was. By the end of the call, 4 people had quietly left the meeting. My parents stopped posting photos of family events. My sister deleted her account. Then came the letter, a desperate rambling thing from my mom written in blue ink on monogrammed paper. "Family is messy. We made mistakes. But at the end of the day, we are all we have. Don't punish everyone forever for one misunderstanding. Your daughter will regret this distance. So will you." I didn't respond. Instead, I framed the letter, hung it beside the sticky note that started it all. "Try harder next year." Then I helped my daughter hang fairy lights around her new bed. She picked the soft ones, the ones that changed color slowly, like breathing. Her breathing had changed too. Easier now, softer, not tight and guarded like before. She made new friends. 2 girls from art class, sweet, curious, gentle souls who didn't laugh when she needed to cover her ears or take breaks. She started sleeping through the night. One morning, she told me, "My heart doesn't feel like it's buzzing anymore." I hugged her so tightly she squeaked. And then one last thing happened. At the end of the school year, her class hosted a family day. Students could invite one adult to sit with them, eat cookies, and see their art projects. She chose me, of course. Her project was a painting, abstract, all swirling galaxies and soft pink comets. In the corner, she had written in black paint, "Safe is better than big." On the drive home, I asked if she wanted to stop for ice cream. She said yes, then paused. "Mom." "Yeah, baby." "You did the right thing. Even if they call you mean, even if they never talk to us again, you did the right thing." I blinked hard against the lump in my throat. "Thanks, sweetheart. That means everything." She leaned back in her seat, smiling. Later that night, I checked my email one last time before bed. There was one new message from Emma. No subject line, no salutation, just 6 words. "Are you happy now?" "You won." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. But she was wrong. I didn't win. I walked away, and for the first time in my life, I didn't look back. Maybe I went too far. Maybe I didn't go far enough. Sometimes I still wonder if I should have said more at that party, or if leaving in silence was the loudest thing I could have done. I wonder what my daughter will remember years from now, and what she won't have to unlearn because I stopped it in time. But now I want to ask you, if it were your child, would you have done the same? Would you have walked away, fought back harder, let it go? Tell me in the comments, what would you have done? Did I do the right thing, or did I cross a line? And if you want more stories like this, raw, emotional, and honest, hit subscribe.